Welcome to Yogaxpress, your virtual stretch clinic that helps you move the body to still the mind. My name is Banu Suresh. I'm your host for this program. We have a very special guest today. After a very long time, we've been out of the studios for about at least, 12 weeks now, Radan?
Too long.
Too long, that's right. Radan Sturm, Director of Training and Development at Complete Body, which is, Radan, I'll let you say a little bit about your studio and where you're located so folks can get in touch with you.
Yeah, we have 3 studios all across Manhattan. Okay. So downtown, in Chelsea and Upper East Side. And we do a range of different fitness classes, and yoga is very prominent with those classes.
And
so
do you have a website?
We do. It's called completebody.com.
Completebody.com. That should be easy to remember. Radan, we've done some amazing episodes together. And I was just looking at all the themes that we've covered, and I noticed that there was one thing we hadn't covered so far.
What's that? Tell us.
Which is basically focus points. In yoga, we talk about, there's an expression we seem to use in every classroom, where the mind goes, energy flows, and it's all about focus. Mm-hmm. So we talk about balance postures. In some of the episodes we've spoken about when you are in and out of balance postures, the way to hold your balance is to look at a point that doesn't move.
Or even to think about a certain part of the body and contract those muscles to help you balance.
That's exactly what we're going to do today. So if you have, for instance, if there's a posture where we're doing a standing back bend, we're opening up the chest, so it's also stretching the pectorals, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Very good.
Opening up the upper body, but it's also compacting the lower back. So if we're doing a standing back bend and we have a bit of a low back issue today, we want to send our mind's energy, in yogic terms, to the low back. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking if I would, as I guide ourselves through some of these postures, maybe in the next couple of episodes we should try and cover at least about 15 to 20 postures. I was thinking as we guide ourselves through these postures, if you could explain to folks what part of the body is benefiting from that particular compacting or stretching.
Absolutely.
And using the right anatomical terms, which I'm not very familiar with, so I may throw a name out there. Please feel free to correct me. For those of you out there who've been following us for a while, please feel free, stay in touch with our special guests. They bring with them a lot of expertise, experience, and they offer their time to you free of charge. So just stay in touch, completebody.com. Radan Sturm, you also have a blog.
I do, yes. Just my first and last name, radansturm.com.
That's RADANSTURM.
Yeah.
Radansturm.com.
Full of very simple facts on
I actually
fitness.
liked it.
You had a look?
I did.
Oh, good.
I did.
Someone's reading it. That's handy.
No, do people actually, are they allowed to interact with you?
Yeah, there's a way that you contact me through the blog with any questions.
Right.
I usually get 2 or 3 questions a week.
And can they actually talk about the show as well?
Absolutely. Anything.
Because anything that they feel that you can definitely offer them some kind of advice. Okay, Radan, I thought we'll start off with the standing postures. And we'll start with our sequence. We have a very simple sequence that we use over here. We call it 48 plus. So there's a little postcard which we will share with you when you come on the show. I thought we'll start with the arms raised, and in yoga, at least in our sequence, we're focusing at the base of the throat. So it's a chest opener, so you may also want to guide us through that. So heels together, toes slightly apart, palms in front of your chest, elbows are raised. Inhale, take your arms up. So tighten your low back, tighten your buttock muscles, and Radan, go for it. We are focusing at the base of the throat. Is there...
Well, I think you can focus on the buttock muscles to help protect your lower back for a start. Because if you bend too far back and your back's weak, you'll probably feel it too much in the lower back.
Right.
And you'll also feel a nice stretch through your abdominals, right in the front of your body.
Yeah, I feel that it's a nice stretch right here, right?
Yeah, because we never think of stretching
No.
the front of the body in this
That's
position.
Good. Let's exhale, fold from the hip. I'm going to bring my little cheat sheet a little closer. For this one, we're going to focus on the low back this time. Even though it's not a back bend, we're actually stretching the whole back of the body.
Including hamstrings.
Including the
Do you know where they
hamstrings, yeah, I'm looking forward to your guidance. So where are the hamstrings?
At the back of the thigh.
Back of the thigh.
Yeah, so they run from your knee up to your hip.
All right, so you're going this way. Okay, got it. So this feels good. So is there any way we could get deeper, maybe by exhaling a little more every time? Would that hurt? Would we hurt ourselves in the back of the legs?
No, I think as long as you're keeping your knees maybe slightly bent at the beginning,
right,
it takes the pressure off the back a little bit. And you'll feel it stretching equally probably in the hamstrings and the lower back.
Yes. Now let's bring our heels out just a little bit so the insides of the feet are parallel. Inhale, bring your arms up to shoulder height. Palms are facing in. Exhale, bend at the knees. A lot of pressure is on the knees in this particular posture, so you want to take some of the weight off and maybe lean back just a little bit. Our energy is focused on the Muladhara chakra, which is the pelvic region. So how can we be comfortable in this posture, Radan?
Well,
I know it's hard to speak, but go ahead.
No, not going too deep. I think the deeper down you go, the more pressure you're going to potentially put on the knees.
Right.
So if it's too much for the thigh muscles and the knees just lifting up a little bit,
right,
it'll allow you to stay a little bit more upright.
And
then once you get more warmed up, then you go further down. But what you want to avoid is flexing forward as you get lower, because then your back is rounded.
So keep your back upright.
So keep your back straight and only go down as far as you feel comfortable.
And what muscles am I working? I can feel
you
my
can feel it, right?
burning.
That's it. Usually wherever you feel it is where it's working.
Right. Inhale, let's come up. Exhale and relax. Now I'm going to come diagonally on the mat. We're going to take our viewers through the triangle posture, Radan. Bring your legs out about 3 feet apart. If you're taller, you may want to bring it further out. Put your brakes on first. Make sure your feet are nice and firm, and then when you're ready, when your feet are nice and secure on the mat, you want to turn your right foot out. Upper body turns to face the left of the mat. Now, we're going to focus, in this particular posture, we're going to focus on the navel region. So that is Swadhisthana chakra. That's the second chakra in your body. Now inhale, bring your arms up to shoulder height. Palms are facing down. Lean a little to your right. And I'm going to wiggle my right foot further down. That brings me a little closer to the mat. Exhale, dip your right hand in front of the right ankle. Left arm goes all the way up. Both palms face forward. Radan, I can already feel a lot of muscle stretching.
Yeah, it's a very good stretch on the inside of the thigh of the front foot, in this case our right foot, and also the inside of the thigh a little bit, because you're using your right hand to push into that leg, is that right? And rotating as you come up. So I think with this position, just not going down too far once again, so if you can put your put your hands on your lower leg rather than the floor.
Oh, okay.
Because then you can take some of the weight of your upper body into that hand rather than have that weight go into the stretch.
Is it okay to put that extra weight on my ankles, on my right ankles?
Yeah, so it's your shoulders kind of helping out and take the pressure off the stretch. So it's almost too much for me going down.
Tricep stretching on my left arm, right?
Not so much tricep, but maybe your shoulder from rotating up to the ceiling.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Inhale. Let's come up. Turn your right foot in. Turn the left foot out. We're going to look away from the cameras for just a moment. Lean a little to your left. Exhale. Dip the left hand in front of the left ankle. And as Radan mentioned, hold on to your left ankle if you wish. You don't have to go down all the way. And this time I assume, Radan, the inside of the upper left thigh.
Yeah, I'm feeling that. I'm also feel it down the right-hand side of the body.
Yeah.
By leaning over.
Right here. That's right.
Yeah.
So I lean over a little more to feel that stretch.
It's actually a nice lower back release.
So is there a way I can feel the right side of the body stretching more if I take my arm over? Is that safe?
Yeah, that's safe. And reaching further.
Just reach a bit. Oh, now I can feel the whole right side.
Yeah.
What about the outside of the right thigh? Should I be feeling that? I feel a little bit.
Yeah, it's all connected. So your lower back, and your buttocks.
That's good to know. It's all connected.
Connect there at your hip bone. So you're going to either feel it above or below that bone, depending on where you're tight.
Inhale. Let's come up. Turn your left foot in. Turn your right foot out. We're going to take this posture one step further now. Exhale. Bend your right knee. This time, because we're stretching even deeper, you're focusing on the Muladhara chakra once more in the pelvic region. We're going to keep exhaling and then move your gaze inward up towards your navel as you come down. Bring your right hand all the way down. Your right knee is bent. Left arm goes all the way up and overhead. So on the right side, Radan, this time we're also bending the knee. Is that helping us?
Well, what it makes, the difference is that you're now using the muscles in your legs a lot more to hold your body weight up.
Okay.
Whereas before with a straight leg, it's more balance and stretching.
Oh, okay.
So this is going to be a little bit more strengthening of your right leg rather than stretching. So you might even find your right thigh is working again.
Yes, I can feel that.
So this is more strength.
But Radan, I also feel a bit of a stretch on my left side. Is that good?
Yeah, I think it's because you've got your left arm up, so
right. Okay.
You could expect that.
I still feel that. Inhale, let's come up. Bring both arms up to shoulder height. Turn your right foot in. Turn the left foot out. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. We start with our focus in the pelvic region and then move it upward to the navel. Exhale, bend the left knee. Keep exhaling. Dip your left arm in front of the left ankle. And in this one, Radan, it's a bit hard to hold on to the left ankle, so it's safe to bring your arm down, right?
Yeah.
All the way down. And then take your right arm all the way overhead. Palm faces down. I've always wondered why the various schools ask us to keep the palm facing down. I have teachers who have explained to me that that's to keep your energy within yourself, but there must be a physiological reason, Radan. If I turn my palm up, am I moving or stretching a different part of my arm?
I mean, maybe possibly very slightly.
Okay.
Stretching
I should
more on the side and more under the armpit with your hand facing down.
Okay.
But I think it just feels more comfortable.
That's true.
That's not a bad thing.
That's true, absolutely. Inhale, let's come up. Straighten your left knee, turn your left foot in, exhale, bring your arms down, wiggle your feet closer. Then keep your feet about 6 inches apart. The insides of your feet are parallel to each other. We're going to continue to face the front left of the mat. We're going to take you through an intense back bend. And in this one, and Radan, I'm going to hold it so you know which one we're talking about. We're talking about this one. You don't have to take your hands all the way down. You just go down as far back as you can. Both palms on your buttocks. Make sure your feet, insides of your feet are parallel. I've always wondered why, so I'm going to help you. I'm going to request you to help us understand why.
Don't expect me to talk when we're back there, though.
And like I said, we don't have to go too deep. Now remember, the trick is, if you want to go a little deeper, the trick is to bring your feet further apart. That helps you go down a little deeper, and it really doesn't matter as long as you can feel, as long as you feel the strengthening of the low back. That's really all we want. So I'm going to bring it a little closer, both palms on your buttocks, push your elbows back so you're opening up your chest. Inhale, bring your head up. Once you're past midpoint, glide your palms down the back of your thighs. Radan, I won't make you speak right now. When we come up, you can help them understand. But what we are doing here, this is for our viewers, what we are doing here is strengthening our low back, tightening the buttock muscles, as Radan explained in the previous postures. That helps you protect your back. But you also will feel a stretch in the front of both thighs, which Radan will explain in detail when we come up. Inhale, let's come up.
Wow.
We're going to do a bit of a forward fold. Let's do a little bit of a side twist before we go into the forward fold. And then Radan, feel free.
It's a very intense motion.
I felt the stretch in my front of my upper thighs.
Yeah, I think a lot of people and a lot of viewers at home will actually find it very difficult to keep the elbows back.
Right,
because they're quite tight in front of the shoulders.
Is there an easier or simpler, more comfortable way to do that?
So maybe don't force your elbows back too much, because by forcing your elbows back, you're probably not going to get down far enough.
Got it, okay.
So maybe placing the hands on the side of the hips rather than the back.
Okay,
and
on the side, this way.
Slightly on the side, and then still sliding down, because it's...
Hold on, I'm not quite sure. Jonathan, come on in. You can come to the green mat. We have another regular participant here. So when you said side, so how would I go down with my hands?
So exactly the same body position, but rather than having your hands and your elbows
glide my
that far
hands
back.
down the side of my thighs.
Yeah, because otherwise the lack of shoulder flexibility may prevent you from going down.
For those of you, I think many of you know Jonathan. Jonathan, Radan.
Very well.
Nice to see you again.
You missed a really good stretch right now, but we're going to do a bit of a forward fold, so you're okay, and it's okay for him to start with this forward fold, right? Bring both your legs out about a little further apart than you normally would. Definitely put your brakes on, so bring your toes in. Now, Jonathan, before Jonathan throws me off my mat, inhale, bring both arms up to shoulder height. Keep inhaling, take your arms all the way overhead, turn your palms in, clasp your palms together. Exhale, fold from the hip. Radan, if there's a better, more comfortable, more convenient way to get into this posture, feel free. Bring both palms between your feet, and I'm going to wiggle my feet a little further apart.
Yeah, I think the wider the feet, the easier it is to get the hands on the ground.
Right.
But the bigger the stretch in the legs.
Distance is closer, right.
Yeah.
So what part of my legs am I feeling? The back? I can feel it on the inside
Yes,
of the
the
back
inside,
of my upper
the inside
thigh.
of the thighs and the back of the thighs. Called your adductors and your hamstrings.
Hamstrings, that's the one I was trying to remember. Now press with your palms, inhale, keep your palms where they are, keep pressing, let's come up to midpoint and then wiggle your feet a little closer till it's safe to take your palms off. Clasp your palms together, inhale, come up with a straight back. I'm trying to avoid Jonathan as I come up. Well, you didn't hit me going down, so I don't want to hit you coming up.
Okay.
Exhale and release. Sometimes when you're practicing at home and you find there's a little less space than you expected, it's okay. You can make adaptations. Jonathan, wiggle your feet closer unless you want to see. You look very comfortable, so stay. And if you need to make adaptations, sometimes if you don't have enough room to take your arms all the way out, as long as you can feel the rest of the body stretching, let me know if that's safe. You know, some of the postures when we're lying down, we have to have the arm outstretched. Sometimes we fold the arms in.
Yeah.
So what are we losing by not stretching this part of the arm? When we come to that episode, maybe you can help
Definitely.
us understand. We do make adaptations sometimes.
No,
so
you
we
have
want
to.
make sure-
That's
yeah.
the good thing about yoga is you can adapt.
Exactly.
And so
We
that's
all-
why it suits everybody.
Yeah, and when Sarah comes in, she does something deeper. One of our other, you remember Sarah. So some people can go deeper into posture. Some of us would like to stay where we are, which is fine. We've got another very simple stretch for you. Since I'm the shortest, I think I better come forward. Inhale, press both your palms in, heels are together, toes slightly apart. Inhale, take your arms up. And then as you exhale, dip to the right. I get an idea what Radan is going to say here. Go ahead, Radan.
What? You're reading my mind.
Yeah, I think I know what you're going to say, but go on, you tell us.
Well, it's a really fantastic stretch and strengthening exercise for the side of your body.
Yeah,
So
I can feel the whole
yeah,
left side.
it'll work part of your lower back, your obliques, even your abdominals a little bit.
So obliques are the ones at my midriff.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And they're not actively working because your obliques work more when you rotate your torso,
Okay.
but they do work to stabilize your spine.
Nice.
So it's a really nice stretch and strengthening exercise at the same time.
So which, I'm strengthening on the right side, is that what it is?
No, left side.
Oh, I am strengthening. Okay, when you said stretch and strengthening, I assumed that stretching on the left and strengthening on the right. Inhale, back to the center. So as I'm stretching on the left side, I'm also strengthening.
Correct, because if we do the right hand side
Right.
and you go over, you're going to feel a stretch on the right hand side, but if you let go,
Right.
you'll sink down further. So it's
That's
actually
interesting. Never
it's
thought of
actually holding a static stretch.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Excellent.
complicated.
No, but it makes sense the way you explain it.
Yeah.
And it's nice for our viewers to understand what they're doing. Exhale, dip to the left.
So if you hold this position and then you relax that right hand side even more, you
Right.
fall down further. So there has to be some tension on the right hand side to prevent your body from falling over. So even though you're feeling a stretch on the right hand
yeah,
side,
you're actually
also
feeling
strengthening
strong.
it.
That's right.
Especially when you come back up into the middle, that part of the motion is the contraction. There's a lot of noises going on over there. It's been a while.
Did that feel good?
Yes,
I'll tell you, Jonathan, though, for our viewers as well, when you're stretching and you're holding the postures, that is when we really are strengthening our body.
Absolutely.
Because it's not about moving too fast. It's about moving the body to still the mind, but also holding. In fact, there is a kind of yoga, it's called yin yoga, which is a very You can, very simple postures, but you hold them, some of them as long as 5 minutes.
Wow.
So then we're definitely going to hear a lot of noises from Jonathan.
Unless it's Shavasana. Then I'm
Unless
fine
it's
with
Shavasana.
that.
Oh, there are some people who snore during Shavasana, which is not a good idea. We're not going to do the balance postures today. We're going to skip that. We're going to do a little bit of a forward fold. How are we doing for time? Richard, give us a cue. Okay, great. Inhale, take your arms all the way up and then cross your palms over. Hold on to the opposite elbows. We've got about 6.5 to 7 minutes, so we can take you through at least 4 or 5 more postures. Now wiggle your biceps behind your ears, open up your chest. Now if we're already stretching or strengthening any part of the body before we finish this posture, feel free.
Yeah, I think we're already stretching our triceps a little bit.
Right here.
Which is the back of the arm, and also your back muscle, which is under your armpit.
Right. Oh, you had a name for it last time. It starts with an L.
Your lats,
latissimus
dorsi.
Okay.
If we're getting very technical now.
No, not too much. Lats would do
We're going to do an anatomy lesson.
No, lats would.
And also by leaning back, you're stretching out your abdominals again.
Okay, the front of the body.
Yeah, the front of the body.
Exhale, fold from the hip. Oh, this feels so good on the back. Why is that, Radan?
I think any forward bend just takes the pressure off the spine and starts to lengthen the spine a little bit.
So what's happening with the spine?
That feels good.
What they call the vertebrae, they're all stretching a little?
Yeah, tiny. There's not a lot of movement there,
right.
But there is going to be some, and that feels good.
Oh, it feels wonderful.
Especially if we spend our days sitting a lot.
This is a good idea. That's true. That's true. I've been doing that since I came back from India. 1 week I slept, which was more on my back. Exhale, release both palms to the mat, and then very gently take your left leg back and then the right. We call this the downward dog position, but this is also a wonderful stretch for the whole back of the body. For those of you who can, please keep exhaling and press your heels all the way down. If you don't do that today, that's okay. Place something under your heels so that you can make that connection. Radan, this feels
generally,
so good.
Yeah, I think for most people, getting the heels down to the ground is a big
Right.
challenge.
But we still get a stretch, right?
Oh, it's a big stretch. It's comes down to having flexibility in your calf muscles,
okay.
which are in your lower leg. And then once you can do that, it actually makes this exercise much more comfortable.
Right.
Whereas for those of us who can't, we have all our weight on our arms. And so our shoulders start to work.
So is there a way I can take the weight off of my arms if I do feel a little bit on my arms?
Not really.
So when you bring the heels down, that helps take the weight off of the front of the body.
So the more you do it, the easier it gets. Like anything, really.
Are we working the abdominal muscles in the front of the body in this one at all? Do we need to?
You're using them a little bit because you're pushing your hands down into the ground.
Oh, okay.
So you have to use your midsection to balance and hold yourself there a little bit.
I think Jonathan's calling me names under his breath. Okay, let's inhale, bring the right foot between the hands. So when we went down, bring the left knee down. In this particular posture, we focus on the eyebrow center. When we came down, we actually did, even though we mentioned the low back as we went down with both our legs apart, we went down, we were focusing on the low back, and then we focused on the back of the chest. We skipped the balance postures from our sequence, but as we folded over with our arms across, we were still focusing on the lower back. And when we went into the downward dog, where you mentioned the calf stretches more to bring the heels down, that one, we're actually in yoga, we actually focus on the throat region. I have no idea why we call it the Jalandhara Bandha. Jalam is the throat, the base of the throat. I'm not sure if that has something to do with the breathing, because as we go down in downward dog, that's a position that North America knows it by. But we use something called Ujjayi breathing through the back of the throat. All right, we won't digress from now. Right now we're focusing on the eyebrow region, so we're trying to hold our balance. Radan, what am I stretching?
We're stretching the hip.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So if you don't have your knee and your heel far enough apart, you won't feel it stretch. So you make sure there's a good distance in that.
He's very tall, so you can go
you
further.
probably come a little bit further forward with that front foot.
Am I far enough? But I can actually feel it.
I don't know if there's a right angle. If there's a right angle at the back of the front knee,
okay,
you've got plenty.
So, okay, that's good enough.
And one thing to watch out is that you don't push into the stretch too far, because you'll stop stretching here and you'll start arching at the lower back.
And that's something we want to avoid, right?
You need to avoid that.
Okay.
So activating the butt, remember? gives you a bigger stretch at the front of the hip.
Oh, okay.
Whilst
Keep the buttock
protecting the back.
muscles tight.
Yeah.
Don't use big words, Radan. Okay, inhale, and let's switch legs. Bring the right knee back. So come down on your right knee, and then bring the left foot forward. So we're still focusing on the eyebrow center. So on the inside, from the inside, in your mind, focus on the eyebrow center right here, because it's also a little bit about balance. Exhale, and dip.
And most people will find they're a little bit tighter on one side than the other.
That's good to know.
Which is normal, totally normal.
It's so good to know we're all in the normal category. So keep exhaling, and I find this is something, I don't know if this has a kind of explanation in your gym training as a trainer. As I exhale, what's happening? Why am I feeling more comfortable when I exhale and dip further?
Potentially.
Am I giving myself more, like am I getting all the air out so that I can fold? Because I know when I do forward folds and I keep exhaling, we do that in the yoga studios as well.
It could be to do with your diaphragm, your breathing muscles. So as you're breathing out and emptying the oxygen out of your air,
so making
out of your
more
lungs, you're making more room to come down into the stretch.
Okay. Is that a bit of a stretch?
It is a little bit of a stretch, but you know what? It's also that maybe it's kind of pulsing into it in a way.
Right.
So rather than just holding that stretch, you're going
moving
into
very
it.
Gently. Okay.
So using your breath to pulse in and out of it.
Now let's take this one step further. We have a couple of minutes, so we're going to ease off just a little bit. Inhale, raise the right arm up. That will be the last posture for today. Exhale, dip your right elbow over your left knee. Place your left palm on top of the right and look up at the raised elbow. This does involve a little bit of balance, so not to worry if you do fall out, get right back in. Don't give up on yourself. Radan, in this one I feel a nice stretch in my waist.
Yeah, on the which side? Right hand side?
Right now I feel it on the right side, and I feel a compression on the left side.
Yeah, I feel like the left leg in this case is holding our body weight up. Okay. So that's strengthening while we're using our elbow to rotate our spine a little bit. So we're getting some spinal rotation and mobility together with left leg strengthening.
Inhale, let's come out of that, let's switch legs, and then just get into the elbow twist on the other side, and we wrap up for today. While we are getting into the other side of this posture, bring the right foot forward. I'd like to thank our crew. We have Richard Swanson, Drew Taylor, and Roberto Espinel, who are helping make this episode happen today. Inhale, raise the left arm up. Exhale, dip your left elbow over the right knee. Place the right palm on top of the left. Closing words of advice for our viewers, Radan.
Well, like me, I haven't done yoga in 2 months.